Welcome back. Welcome back. Hopefully
Hello.
that was interesting. Hello. I'd be really curious to know if anybody would like to share anything, particularly anyone who hasn't had a chance to sort of talk up to this point. It's always good to hear lots of different people's voices and experiences. Anybody want to share anything about a particular change that you maybe have got going on now, or you are about to lead, and anything that you took away from what you've just heard? So anybody?
I'll just offer up that there's kind of it feels like in my area we're on the cusp of a bit of change, and actually there's a couple of people on this cohort and on prior cohorts within my peer group that we're discussing the change and using some of this framework and using some of this vocabulary whilst it's all fresh in our minds has actually been really helpful, and kind of that self-awareness about where my core motivations lie versus someone else's from a process or drive or people perspective has kind of helped us have those discussions, not just about the change, because we can all talk about the change itself, but knowing which piece of the jigsaw we all are and what our respective roles and skills that we can bring to the table has been. I mean, we're only in the very, very early stages, but it's been quite helpful to like I say, give us a vocabulary to talk about some of these sorts of things and prepare for it.
Thanks, Paul. And just to bring it to life, what's your motivation, your core SDI? What's your color?
I'm away up in the blue,
Right.
in the top left, and then there are other members of my peer group who are heavily process driven, and then there's somebody who just wants to get stuff done. So actually, it's like it's a pretty reasonably good blend
It's good
for that.
Good balance.
Yeah.
So across the team between you, you'll have it all covered. But left to your own way of seeing the world without awareness, self-awareness of that motivation, you might miss something. You might
I would take
something.
forever, and somebody would do it tomorrow if they could, and that's a really nice balance amongst us.
Yeah, but and obviously this is a good time to reinforce on SDI. It's not your motivation is your motivation, yes, but self-awareness is everything. So you can be red motivated, blue motivated, green motivated. If you're aware of that, then you can be actively behaving in ways that maybe don't fulfill your motivation, but are needed for the situation. So it's good. Don't want anyone feel like they have to be red, have to be blue. Yeah, good stuff. And anyone else got any kind of reflection at all to share?
I'm happy to sign it. Oh, Robert. All right.
Yep.
Well, I've already spoken, so if you've got something to add, Brian, then you go ahead.
Well, yeah. No, I'm just happy to share what I shared with the breakout group. So, I just talked about a change that I was leading with my team in the gas pipeline safety, group that I lead, and it was the way in which we report out to the gas business unit on a monthly basis. And my team, I've had them since July, and when I showed up, looking back, hindsight's 2020. I showed up, and without saying anything to my team, I went to our stakeholders, the VPs of each of the departments within the gas business unit, and I solicited feedback on what my team was providing to them to help them, with the work that they do. And the feedback that I got was that we needed to change, the way in which we were, sharing information, and it just didn't seem as helpful as it should. Went back to the team and said, we need to change. This is what happens. And they were all kind of like, well, wait a second. We've been reporting like this forever. What do you mean this needs to change? And I think they felt like it was me trying to, put my spin on it, my name on it, versus, how I could have gone about it, which was done a lot more communicating up front to kind of explain what we as a team should do, the feedback we should solicit. And that way it felt a bit more, at the very least, they had a better understanding of, what we were trying to achieve. There was no ill intent on my part. I was leveraging the existing relationships that I had. It was a lot. It was very informal kind of feedback, but honest. Yeah. And, I think what, the change at first was kind of just like, this is what we've been doing forever. It seems to work great. And it's like, well, our stakeholders don't think so. And they just hadn't said it until now. So, just looking at that.
Yeah. And what's your motivation, Brian? Your SDI? Just curious. If there's any? What color?
I'm not. Sorry.
Your color. Your SDI. What color are you on the SDI? The strength deployment inventory. Your motivation.
Oh.
Red, blue, green. Hub.
No, I was hub.
Hub. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you're motivated to kind of get at different people's views. That's probably what was behind that, kind of listening, wanting to chat with your stakeholders, hear what they all said.
No,
and
it wasn't intentionally leaving anybody out, but it was like, hey, I just want to make sure that the work we're doing, because you get caught up in this, everyone's marching along, and all of a sudden you go like, is there value in the work that we're doing, or is there maximum value in the work that we're doing? And I think eventually the team understood, once they kind of understood that it was like, no, this isn't me, this is actual feedback. And then they were like, well, why didn't they give this feedback before? A lot of questions. And I just hindsight's 2020. I could have framed things up out of the gate a lot cleaner, and it would have just been much more well received.
Good. All right. Interesting. Great. Thank you for sharing that. That's really good. Anyone else? One more, or are we done? Robert, I want to give somebody else a chance. If anyone, I'm reading faces, trying to see if anyone's got something on their mind.
Chris, I was just going to maybe give a bit of a reflection on the point you made about, when we communicate, but we have nothing to say. So we hold these meetings, and we kind of, there's blank faces, and we're there kind of to answer people's questions. I suppose we were reflecting in our group where we've had some positive change experiences. And those positive change experiences for us have been where the case for change has been very clearly articulated. But then on the other side of the spectrum, the opportunity is also very clearly articulated. And then what you then get is a clear articulation of the method that the organization is going to go through to implement that change, right? And sometimes as leaders, we are very keen to give the answer to people's questions. But actually what people want to know, just to build empathy, is what is the method you're going to go through? Because we're all humans, right? You got to go through a methodical approach to get to a more mature position. And sometimes I feel explaining the method really addresses a lot of people's questions or concerns. I think it sets the expectation. So I wanted to share that reflection with you.
Thank you. Yeah. So like when you say the method, it's like, there's different approaches to change, isn't there? You can be very directive, and you can say, look, we're telling you what to do, and just have to trust us because we've got no time, or it could be, this is very consultative. Here's the vision, here's the goal. How you get there from here to now, here to there, that's up to you. Go away, create the change yourselves. That's those two extremes, aren't they? And is that what you mean by method? It's like, here's the kind of approach we're taking to getting to that vision. Is that kind of what you're?
Correct. Yeah. So it's like, what are the steps
we're mapping it out?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That really helps people. That as much as you can kind of show the chapters of the story, that's that very high level plan. Cool. Okay. Right. What we're going to do. So that's basically this topic. I suppose the three takeaways from us: self-awareness. So if you know that you're going through transition, or if you are aware of how you have behaved under pressure in a change before, then you can make choices about it. The other thing is here, don't sleepwalk into leading a change in the same way that you've always done it. There's always a context to change, time, capability, blah, blah, blah. So be context sensitive, situational about how you decide to choose to progress a change. Bridges model, lots of models around change. There's more in the e-booklet. Feel free to read ahead. Some of it may not make sense. We've got a masterclass after this, the residential, on some of those tools. you'll also have an opportunity to play with those tools in the residential in itself. So feel free to have a look at those. But all these models, I think, just give you a map. You know, there's that experiment where they give people a map and it's not actually the right map, but people do better when they think they've got just having some kind of structure, some models to help you make sense of what's going on can be really beneficial. And then, yeah, practical steps. Hopefully the 4 Ps give you some practical kind of messaging buckets that you can make sure you've crossed off when you're thinking about how you're going to articulate a change. I'm going to hand over to Joe now. I think,
Perfect.
Joe, you've got some
yeah
messages. Yep.
Yes, please. Yeah. So it's going to be a few weeks now until we see you next. It'll be March 28th when we see you. Apart from there's a few people that I'm still going to meet next week for strength deployment inventory. So between now and then, you've got a bit of time. The main thing is read The Advantage. You should all have that. It's really useful if you've read the recipe book before you get to the residential. Please please reflect on those SDI 6 Working Genius profiles, and then you've got your coaching session with Coach Mike. So complete your aspirational leadership statements. Please have those back to me to my email address, and we will send an email reminding you of this, but please send those aspirational leadership statements to me 26th latest, please. So that gives us a few days to print it out before we get to the residential. Pretty much though, as soon as you've done it, please do just send it to me, and then we'll give you a reminder if you haven't. That is it. Sophie, Chris, and I will all see you on March 28th. We will send you more details of that the week before. Really look forward to seeing you. If you've got anything else that you need, just give us a shout, email us in between. But have an amazing session with Coach Mike, and good luck with the aspirational leadership statements. Give you a few minutes to have a break before your next sessions. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks, Joe.
Have a
Thanks,
great
Chris.
weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.